Welcome to the restorative practice of your do-it-yourself retreat. I'm Paula Strupeck Gardner, and I am delighted to share this beautiful practice with you to guide you into softness. Before we begin, let me go over the things that you will likely need for the practice. We'll be doing two poses, one of them for just a few minutes and the other for a longer period of time. I will show you how to get into the pose, and then I will show you how to get out of the pose so that you can be here for as long as your heart desires, or at least as long as your schedule allows. So first of all, if you have a yoga bolster, that's ideal. A firm yoga bolster. Some of them are really bendy, and we want one that's firm, sturdy. If you don't have that and you have a sofa cushion, this is a little bendier than we prefer, but it's good enough. It's good, and we'll work with it and we'll figure it out. If you don't have that, then a bed pillow will work. We'll make it work. And so you'll need to get one of those. I recommend firm blankets. However, if you don't have firm blankets, then use beach towels, several of them. And I will show you how the best way to fold them. You'll need a couple of yoga blocks, probably just one. And if you don't have yoga blocks, then I would recommend a shoe box. When we're using two shoe boxes, it's important that they be the exact same height. When we're using only one, it doesn't matter. And if you're using either a kind of cushy cushion or pillow, then I will recommend that you bring in from your kitchen a pasta pot and then another pot just in case, because we may need both to support you. If by some odd chance you have a board that's about that long, or is as long or a little bit longer than your cushy cushion, you could use that too. Because what we're aiming for is to have the cushion at an angle, and you need to be supported as you're lying on it. So you want something that's going to be able to hold your weight without dipping. That's really the most important thing. And the next most really important thing is that your head be supported. So if you have several cushions or pillows, bring those along as well. You'll certainly want a cover to cover you, but you'll have several of these. An eye mask, if you do not have an eye mask, any kind of scarf or washcloth or hand towel does beautifully. So those are the things that you'll need. You're welcome, if you haven't already assembled them, to press pause, and then come back. So welcome back if you went away. Let's begin setting up for the first pose, and we're going to use the same setups. I put my phone sideways so that you could see more of the lying down. So if my head disappears every now and then, it's okay. It is not the most important part of what we're doing. So the first thing we're going to do is take the block or the shoe box, and either your yoga bolster, if that's what you have, and you're going to put that block or the shoe box so that it's like 2/3 of the way up, and there's your angle for you so you can see. Okay, if you have a cushion and a block, that will probably do nicely. However, if it's super cushiony, then I'm going to recommend that we do this. See, you'll get more support that way. But you'll also be able to experiment over time, because once you have the sensation, it starts to make more sense, and you look around your home and you figure out things that would work for you. Be very creative. You can also stick a pile of books underneath here instead of the pots. But here's wherever you go, just be there. So I'm going to use the block and the bolster and set it up that way. This first pose we're only going to stay for a little bit, but we'll sit so that the hip, one of the hips, because we'll do both sides, is right up against the bolster or the cushion. Our knees will be bent. We reach our hands up into the sky and we turn to face the bolster with our hands on either side. So our spine is really long at this point, and we drape ourselves over the bolster. I like to be right here. Some people like and are comfortable with turning their head to the other side. Please do what best works for you. So you'll stay here, setting a timer for yourself for 2 to 3 minutes at the outside. And when you're ready to come out, you'll place your hands down on the mat, lift yourself, but as you're lifting and lengthening forward, and you come back to where you started and pause. And then you'll go to the other side. Now, because the principles of restorative yoga are that we need stillness, quiet, dark, and warm, we want to make sure that when we're lying in this next pose, our eyes are covered, and if you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's quite okay. And we'll be supporting our thighs, we'll be supporting our head. We want to be warm, because as we lie there, our body starts to cool. And so we want to make sure that our feet are warm, our hands are warm, and our shoulders are warm. So you'll be covering yourself up. You can put socks on. This is where we'll go, okay? We'll want to support our arms, our elbows usually, depending on how high you have this. So I'm going to put one on either side. Restorative yoga is not about stretching. It's about softening. And so we do nothing. If you look at yoga on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is a really rigorous active practice, and 1 or 2 would be yin yoga, a lot of stretching, restorative yoga is a 0. You do nothing, there's no stretching. It's meant to soothe your sympathetic nervous system. So it's really important when you're setting yourself up that you pay attention to the details, because those details make huge difference on your central nervous system. Think of the princess and the pea. That princess felt that teeny tiny little pea that was under 20 mattresses. So think of yourself as that princess. When you start a pose, a yoga pose, it's a shape that is meant to comfort you, to bring ease to your body. If there's something, anything at all, that is annoying at the beginning, it will totally distract you through the whole practice. And you're worth the work of taking the time and putting the attention in to set yourself up for total relaxation. So let's begin. You will likely need something under your head. because we want the head supported so that the forehead is higher than the chin. We don't want to be out here because that really activates the mind, and we want the mind to feel soothed and calm. We want something under our knees, so you might use another cushion. You might use a rolled up blanket. You could use pillows, one underneath each knee if you'd like. But let me show you how I was taught to fold a blanket, to fold a beach towel. The funniest thing is that when I was a girl, my mother insisted that I fold towels a certain way, and I of course thought, well, that is the silliest thing I've ever heard. And then when I started studying restorative yoga many years later, lo and behold, I was folding the blankets the exact way that my mother had taught me. So we open it up to its full openness. And now we take, see, it's a rectangle, as you just can't tell here. We take the right end to the left end, and we have another triangle. So we're holding it the long way, and we want to make sure that the folds are right. So we have another triangle, and we're going to fold again from left to right. And now we have another triangle. We're going to get all the crinkles out, and this time we're going from top to bottom. This is often where we start for the rolling. What I did with this to make it smaller is I folded it from left to right and then again from top to bottom. And this part, the closed part, will be underneath the back of my head, the bottom of the back of my head. But you can also use your beach towel or your rolled up, and you can put two of them together, three of them together if you need to support your knees. So you would fold it. My teacher calls this the Tadasana of the blanket. My teacher is Judith Lassiter, who has been teaching yoga for 50 years. And roll it up that way. I like a little more height under my knees. So I'm going to roll it. These are pre-folded. So I'm going to roll it so that it's thicker than that for my knees. And that's how I'm going to put it under me. And we always have to remember that we're going to be adjusting and shifting. And if at any time while you're in the pose, you feel a need to move or shift, feel free to do that, because this is about your comfort. And sometimes, especially when we're beginning a practice, it takes repetition, it takes time, it takes experimentation, it takes curiosity to find the ways that work for us. Plus, it feels different every time you come to the pose. So you'll be shifting and adjusting as you go. And then eventually you settle in. So I have a blanket. This will be what I'm covering myself up with. I have the rolled up blankets underneath my knees. Make sure it's under your knees and not under your thighs. I mean, it is touching your thighs, but it's under your knees. I have a scarf that I'm going to use to cover my eyes. And I'm sitting so that my butt is touching the bottom of whatever it is I'm going to lie on. And I drape myself back. And I'm moving this pillow, although it could be a pillow, I'm moving the folded up blanket that I have for my head so that it's not actually under my neck. It's right at the base of my skull. And now I like to have things under my arms that are the same height You want symmetry because asymmetry activates the central nervous system. And at this point, you can put, depending on how it feels for you, you can put another blanket or pillows underneath your heels so that your heels are on a really soft surface. But right here, you settle in, let yourself feel yourself supported by the blankets, by the cushions, by the boxes, by the pots and pans, whatever you're using. And you cover your eyes and you let yourself stay right here for as long as you're able. 20 minutes is what it takes for the body to begin to relax. So if you have 20 minutes, I encourage you to do it or more. But before you drift away, let me show you what you need to do to come out of the pose so that you can then get back into the pose and stay there for as long as you like. But you begin by rolling your knees so that your knees are facing the sky, one at a time. Bring your feet, to whatever was under your knees. And because it's at the end of your practice, you'll want to take your time, move very, very slowly, and pause and rest after each movement. So then you'll turn to your side and stay there for a breath or 2 or 10. And from here, you'll use your hands and arms to lift yourself up sideways, letting your head come up last to whatever seated position is comfortable for you. And pause right there. This restorative practice is a retreat within a retreat. And our mind, body, spirit learns from doing this extended version of a pose. It learns what it feels like to soften. And then you can bring that softness into your everyday, into things that you may never have considered bringing softness to, because you know what it feels like to release, to relax, to let go. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to help. Many blessings.